MLS Aces Podcast. This is your host, Tom Sweezy, joined once again, Jason Vivang. Jason, this is episode 300. We have honestly nothing special planned for any listeners. Yeah, I mean, look, Leagues Cup is I guess a special enough conversation around everything.
Don't say that around everyone, though.
Not everyone will agree with that. No, I'll probably say some nice words at the end of it if I remember. But 300, an accomplishment,
milestone.
Exactly, right? But no, cool, awesome. Let's dive into it, Jason, because I think there's a lot of news going around. We could talk about Canada cheating, and I don't really want to do that. People are cheating happens in professional sports, and when there's money and accomplishments and everything on the line. I'm not going to dive into that too much. They
were punished, and we move on.
Exactly, right? That's it. So I think there's less transfers to talk about this week, I think. So I'm going to roll through some of these, get this done super early in the episode. There's obviously one or two that I think I want to pick apart a little bit, but we will dive into it. And we're going to start with the one that literally happened maybe 3 minutes after we ended the recording for last week's episode. So start off there with the old news here of Real Salt Lake signing winger Lachlan Brook from Australian First Division side Western Sydney Wanderers. The 23-year-old winger, he had 9 goals and 2 assists in 23 games so far in 2023. He's won an Australian Cup down, in Australia, obviously. But he joins a kind of new winger core of, Diego Luna, Andres Gomez, Benji Michel. Now adding him, and there's a few other youngsters on the roster as well. And at the same exact time, in more of a minor move, RSL loaned out goalkeeper Tomas Gomez to the USL Championship. The more important roster change here for RSL, at least in my opinion, is the pickup of right center back Javain Brown off Major League Soccer waivers, off MLS waivers. Brown was waived a few days ago by the Vancouver Whitecaps, but the 25-year-old Jamaican international has over 100 career games under his belt between the Whitecaps and a few games in Jamaica, in his home nation of Jamaica. He's been a very good defender in Major League Soccer for the Whitecaps. He's filled in as more of a right wing back. He's filled in at a right center back in a back three. I think he can offer Pablo Mastroeni and Real Salt Lake a ton of versatility off that back line, a ton of depth as well. He's been a starter for like 80% of Vancouver's games over the last 2 or 3 seasons, or some stat that I was reading. He's a good player. This is a good pickup, and it feels like, to me, RSL are loading up to win MLS Cup in 2024.
Yeah, well, first of all, another Australian, which is fun.
Aussie.
Yeah, but I totally agree. I think this is screaming load up for the back half of the season, come out of Leagues Cup and just hammer it. They're obviously, for Supporter Shield, Miami has a pretty decent lead over RSL. By 9 points, but that's not undoable, right? Especially now with Messi, who knows when he's going to come back fully healthy.
Exactly.
Miami isn't, unbreakable at this point. There's still that to be won, as well as MLS Cup, and this is a very clear sign. RSL, at this point in the season, is obviously a contender. That's nothing new, but just going for it fully. Wow, there's a lot of F words. It's fun to see, and I think it's right now we have a very competitive top of MLS, especially in the West. But just in general, the top with Cincinnati, Columbus, Miami, the 2 LA teams, RSL, even Colorado, and you could probably throw in the Red Bulls. All above 40 points is pretty impressive, and it's all just this very competitive top. And they, I think, realized, let's get some reinforcements for when we know we're going to need it. And I think that's what this is.
Exactly. I think
it's going to be a sprint to the finish line here. I think
for sure.
Come out of Leagues Cup.
To me, it almost feels like there's a very top upper echelon of Major League Soccer clubs that, like, coming into the season, I probably would have only had down of like Miami, Cincinnati, and like Columbus, maybe LAFC up in that category, but even their depth was scarce to me. I feel like there's a very decent crop of like really good clubs, and RSL was in that. I feel like moves like this and what we've seen this transfer window and what we've seen from Chicho Arango this season, RSL to me is bumped up into that, like, can legitimately go win Leagues Cup, can legitimately go win the Supporter Shield and MLS Cup all in one season, and it wouldn't surprise me right now. That's where I feel with RSL.
I think we're at the point where there's like arguably 6 teams that I would be pretty comfortable saying could win MLS Cup. Supporter Shield, maybe not, but I would put the top 3 currently in both conferences, which is the 2 LA teams, the 2 Ohio teams, Miami and RSL, in like that tier of, and there's probably tiers within that, right? But I just think as of now, those are the 6 teams, which is more than I feel like most years, that I would legitimately not be surprised if any one of them won MLS Cup.
No, I think that's 100% fair. I think that I would agree with those 6. I think those 6, if you told me went out and let's just say, call it whatever you want to call it, but won a treble of trophies between Leagues Cup, Supporter Shield, and MLS Cup, not that it will happen like that, but if you told me one team did that this season, I would 100% believe it. With
you mean one of those 6 wins each trophy?
I'm saying if you told me in a miraculous season that it happened, that like the Galaxy went out, won Leagues Cup, ran the Supporter Shield race, and then had a hot MLS Cup playoffs and won MLS Cup, I would be obviously surprised.
I feel like it's less. Like I feel less confident that that'll happen this year.
I agree with you. I
feel like these teams are going to split the trophies amongst them. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know if you're saying that or if you're saying you think one team will win all 3.
No. I'm not clearly just communicating the fact that I think those 6 are the only 6 teams that I think can win a trophy in 2024, unless some crazy shit happens in this transfer window. And like, if there was a fake scenario where one of these teams won all 3 of these trophies, yes, I would be surprised that one team took all 3 over the other 5, but I wouldn't be surprised due to the talent level on the team. That's all I was saying.
Yeah. But like this year, there's probably more parity than we've seen in a while.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
We were saying basically the same thing.
Exactly. And then look, I mean, Columbus already had the CCC loss, and we'll get to the news of the Campeones Cup date announced and stuff like that. But I definitely think there's opportunities for trophies amongst these 6 squads for sure. To continue rolling down the transfer pipeline here, Portland Timbers, they've acquired striker Mason Toye from CF Montreal for a 2025 super draft selection, as well as the potential of $200,000 in GAM if certain incentives are hit. The 25-year-old American striker has 132 career games played between Montreal, Minnesota, and a few USL clubs. And in those games, he has 24 goals and 3 assists. This season with Montreal, he had 1 goal in 13 games played. He currently, joins, I guess, what the potential striker core could be of a Felipe Mora, Jonathan Rodriguez, and now Mason Toye, even though Rodriguez has been killing it out on the left wing. Anything about Mason Toye here?
I mean, I thought Mason Toye was at least 29 or something. I feel like he's been around for so long. So props to him for just having this like a decently long career already and only being 25.
In all honesty, I hope he just finds his form, and I hope he can stay healthy, because it's never, he's one of those guys where it's never a question of if the talent is there, is the consistency.
Well, he's had moments where you're like, oh, I can see him starting a long time in this league, and then it's like, oh, where did he go?
I remember when he first came on with Minnesota, right? It was like he was going to be one of the strikers of the future for Minnesota. And it just, again, injuries derail careers, opportunities to play derail careers when other players get brought in while you're injured. And, he's a talented guy. From everything I've heard, he's a good guy too. So I hope he gets a shot sooner rather than later. FC Cincinnati, they have signed center back Chidozie. Awaziem from Portuguese club Boa Vista FC, the 27-year-old Nigerian, comes in with a very healthy resume and career so far. 260 plus games played between Boa Vista, Porto B, Hajduk Split, Leganes, Nantes, Alanyaspor, and another club in Turkey that I'm going to not even try to pronounce. But in these games, he's obviously a center back, right? 10 goals, 7 assists in his career there. Last season for Boa Vista, he had 1 assist across 27 games. He does also have 34 caps for the Nigerian national team, last being called up to World Cup qualifying in last June. And I mean, he's won in many spots as well. He's won a Croatian Cup. He won the Portuguese Super Cup, as well as winning a second division title in Portugal with Porto B. From everything that I was reading about this, and a lot of it came from Tom Bogert, so shout out Tom Bogert, this was a very long-term plan to try to sign him. It wasn't we've lost, Matt Miazga for the season. We've lost Nick Hagglund for the season. We need a emergency replacement center back. This was a guy that's been on their eyes, in their sights for a while, and it was just kind of getting it done this transfer window. So I would imagine in a perfectly healthy world, it's a back three of Robinson, Miazga, and Awaziem. But we obviously potentially won't see that until next year. But this guy comes in with a pretty strong resume to help Cincinnati again, like we just said about Real Salt Lake, potentially win a trophy in 2024.
Yeah, I feel like it might not have started as oh my God, we need a replacement, but it kind of became that. Like, I feel like this was one of those moves that they kind of had to get done. I mean, Robinson's he's been gone for 2 months now with the U.S. team. Obviously, Miazga's injured and Hagglund's injured, so it kind of became like a position of need for them. Mascara obviously is gone, going back to Wolves, and I think this can be kind of like a experienced replacement. And like you said, definitely like get back to this solid FC Cincinnati that we've seen. I mean, going back to last conversation, they're still at the top of MLS, and they have dealt with 2 major center back injuries. So this kind of feels like a reinforcement move, but obviously, like you're saying, that this was in the cards, and it could be both.
No, I think it can. I think both can exist at the same time.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, maybe they've wanted this for a while, but now it has to be.
Exactly. And look, if Robinson doesn't come back next season because he's on the 1-year deal, right? Like you at least still go into next season with this brand new center back, with a fully healthy Matt Miazga, hopefully with a fully healthy Nick Hagglund, and you can kind of keep it going like that. I'm sure they would love to have all 3 center backs, but we'll see what comes with that.
Basically.
Yeah, pretty much, right? We'll see what comes with that, and we'll see how Cincinnati can handle that into the future. I'm going to roll through these next 2 pretty quickly. With the San Jose Earthquakes, have recalled winger Oseni Buda from his loan and from Monterey Bay in the USL Championship. And then Columbus Crew, they have loaned that winger, Mario Heinstroza, to Colombian side Atlético Nacional for the rest of the 2024 season. It was specifically stated in this move that this isn't a move to offload Heinstroza, it's a move to get him more playing time consistency. So I definitely want to note that there, because he has moments where I think, from watching him, to me at least, it was like he definitely talent-wise belongs at the MLS Liga MX level and everything like that, because he came over from Mexico, but it just wasn't like 100% like there on the field. The consistency wasn't 100% there. So I hope he can kind of find that form and that consistency down in Colombia. But the big news here to talk about with Columbus is that the Columbus Crew have acquired left back DeJuan Jones from the New England Revolution in exchange for left back Will Sands, $600,000 in general allocation money, and both clubs are going to retain the sell-on percentages for both of their players. If you are a U.S. soccer fan, a USMNT fan, you are somewhat familiar, at least, with DeJuan Jones, a 27-year-old American left back. He has 2 assists across 17 games for a struggling New England side this year. He has over 160 games played for the Revs in his career, and he won the 2021 Supporter Shield with them. He also has 8 caps for the U.S. And Will Sands maybe a little bit of a familiar name because of his twin brother, James Sands, but the 24-year-old American, he does have a little bit less games played in his career, 33 games between Columbus and Columbus Crew too. He technically won MLS Cup in 2023 with Columbus, but missed, most of that season due to injury, and injury has been the absolute highlight of his career. Unfortunately, it's never a doubt in anyone's mind that Will Sands is a talented left back, but it's keeping him on the field. That's the issue, and that's allowed guys like Yeboah and Max Arfston to start and play over him in Columbus. And obviously at this point now, his departure from Columbus. So, Jason, I'm going to turn this to you first. DeJuan, obviously this isn't going to be about Will Sands. No offense to you, Will Sands. But DeJuan Jones to Columbus, DeJuan Jones under Wilfried Nancy. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I think immediately when this news, first of all, great timing on the news to drop like last night.
Thank you.
Ready to get ready for the podcast. Just perfect timing. But yeah, I mean, I feel like almost surprised by how easy, or not easy, but like how they were able to pull this off. And that's like you're saying, no discredit to Sands. He's a good player coming off of an injury, like you said, which is not great, but DeJuan Jones is a very high quality player. And I personally think that with Nancy, he can get to like that next level, whatever that is for him. I think we've seen him. First of all, I didn't realize he was 27 years old. That's a little older than
He's been around for a little bit. I mean, I keep on feeling like he's just like this young up and coming left back that's eventually going to make it to Europe. And it's like DeJuan Jones is in the prime of his career,
And I think this is just the perfect place for him because like you said, with some of the Arfistan and a couple of, Farsi's been there for a while, Yeboah, like Columbus, I don't know if they necessarily needed Sands as much, where DeJuan Jones can really, like, we've seen him push forward. We've seen him really impact games in an attacking sense, I think, more than we've seen Sands. And especially in that Columbus system where they use those wingbacks as basically wingbacks that go all the way up the field.
They're playing up and down that side.
Yeah, I genuinely think this might be like the best spot for him. And I think I texted you, or you texted me about it, and I texted you. I was like, this is perfect. Like, this is as a U.S. fan and someone who likes Jones quite a lot, like going from New England to Columbus this year is like winning the lottery. Like, it could not be better for him.
You know what it is, right? Like, if there is a talented player anywhere in the world, but I'm specifically talking Major League Soccer, and they get traded to Columbus underneath Wilfried Nancy, I'm not going to think it's not a perfect move, right? Like, if that player can buy into Nancy's system, and yes, right, like maybe a more traditional non-attacking fullback wouldn't fit in here. But then I say that, and Steven Moreira has been one of the best center backs in Major League Soccer, converting from a right back to center back, and Multi Amundsen as well. I just feel like if you're a talented player and you are in a, I think I texted this to you last night and I've said it before, and you're a distressed asset in Major League Soccer, and a talented club like Columbus can go find you, make the move, make it happen, you're only going to elevate yourself underneath Nancy if you can buy in. And DeJuan Jones playing left wing back with what I'm assuming is going to be Max Arfston at right wing back, and Mo Farsi and Yeboah still there, and Aziel Jackson, who they brought in, who can play a little bit of like a wide midfield position, right? Like, it's
this team is so stacked.
Columbus is obviously one of the most deep teams in Major League Soccer. And it's the reason why, we were talking about them week after week with the CONCACAF Champions Cup run. It's the reason why we're going to continue to talk about them week after week, because they're going to be in the trophy picture for whatever trophy they're playing for or competition they're playing in. It's incredible. And I think DeJuan Jones is absolutely going to kill it. We're maybe going to potentially see him getting more rumors floating around to Europe. Again, the move has to happen probably sooner rather than later for him at this point in his career. But making the move from a struggling New England side that's clearly going through a tear down and rebuild, I think is only going to be good for his career, whether it's half a season in Columbus and he moves to Europe, whether it's a season and a half and he gets a move to Europe, or whether he's playing the rest of his career in Columbus black and gold. I think DeJuan Jones has put himself in a great spot. So that's where I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I forgot, and then the U.S. women's national team scored a second goal. So now it's just completely out of my head.
That's fine. That's fine. So I'll just wrap it up and say, and I said this to you, and maybe you wanna respond to this. You don't have to. Yeah. I don't want to derail the entire conversation, but I said it to you last night in text message, and I put it out there on Twitter. Fans around Major League Soccer bitch that the best talent want to go to Miami, LA, and I'm not even going to say New York because New York hasn't had a star period since. Yes, they have Emil Forsberg, but it's a very different situation. LA and Miami are the go-to prime destinations, right? Any club in Major League Soccer could have went out and got a 27-year-old, potentially, arguably best left back in the league for $600,000 a game. Yes, he's on a high salary, and that's the reason why New England moved them. But if you want to win and you want to get arguably one of the best talents up and down the left side of the field, you could have done that. Colorado could have done it. Montreal could have done it. Whoever you want to say you're a fan of could have done it. And to me, it's not an excuse. Yes, you can't go out and maybe attract Griezmann from, Kansas City, Kansas or Missouri, wherever the fuck the stadium technically is on whichever state. But you can go out and potentially pull a DeJuan Jones that you just don't do. And that's where fans, I think, should be upset with ownerships is look at Julian Carranza from Miami to Philly. Look at DeJuan Jones from New England to Columbus. There's stars out there, proven capable players out there, and front offices just don't pull the trigger to be better. That's my rant. That's
honestly, I think you just said exactly what we were talking about yesterday, so I don't really need to add much. I did remember what I was going to say, though. Yes. Is this the first major move? Because Columbus has their new front office now, right? With Isatal.
Yes, Isatal.
Is this the first major move? Because if so, what a splash!
I'll probably say maybe DeJuan Jones is a bigger name than Aziel Jackson. I'll say yeah. I'll go with that.
But either way, they haven't people complain. I personally complain about my own team's front office all the time, but this is a changeover from front office, and they're still crushing it. So the people just, I guess, to say what we kind of talked about, and you just said, evaluating talent and then going and getting what you need and what you want. It's not impossible, and it's not even really that. Well, it probably is difficult, but
yes, I'm not going to
make an argument. It's really some teams just aren't doing it, and I think I don't want to say it's not hard, but there are a lot of MLS teams that just don't put the effort in. It feels like.
To me, that's what I think it comes down to is effort. I would rather you try to go sign DeJuan Jones and have him be a complete bust in Columbus rather than you sit there. And this really, I don't know why my brain went to this.
No one thinks he's going to be a bust.
No, I'm just saying this isn't a shot towards the Chicago Fire, but I'd rather go make the attempt for DeJuan Jones and then have him become a bust. I don't think it's going to happen, but let's just say that happens rather than keep Gaston Jimenez on your roster for the last 5 years. I'd rather
the Fire, to give him credit, have tried things. Bringing in Kellen Acosta, I wasn't against, obviously. Yeah. Even bringing in Kasper Shabilka, what was that, 2 years ago? I think I was. If we went and listened, I think I was pretty excited about that, a proven striker in MLS. But obviously it didn't work out. I think a bigger deal is the fact, at least with the Fire, is there's just no consistency in who's coaching and what's happening. To actually lead the team. And I think that's a bigger issue and a whole different issue, right? You can sign all the players you want, but let's put it this way, Wilfried Nancy has this Fire team in the playoffs comfortably.
Probably. And I love getting a little, just not angry, but a little, toasty Jason Fire rant. It is one of my favorites.
I mean, it's honestly a staple per episode at this point.
All right, I'm going to roll through some of these next few moves here. The Red Bulls, they've loaned goalkeeper AJ Marcucci, whatever. Sorry, AJ. The Finnish club IF Gnistan for the rest of the 2024 season. Montreal, they've loaned out right back Grayson Duty and defensive midfielder Usman Javain to USL Championship Las Vegas Lights for the rest of the 2024 season, so they'll get some playing time. Atlanta United, they've sold right back Aiden McFadden to USL Championship Louisville City, who he was on loan with, so Louisville obviously likes Aiden McFadden, brought him in. I think it was for like $25,000, so solid little move there. But the more important Atlanta United move, I think, to focus on here is Atlanta United. They have found their Thiago Almada replacement in attacking midfielder Alexei Miranchuk from Italian Serie A side Atalanta. So from Atalanta to Atlanta. The 28-year-old Russian international has 356 career games played between Atalanta, Torino, Lokomotiv Moscow, with 60 goals and 70 assists to his name. Last season with Atalanta, he had 16 goal contributions across 42 games and won the Europa League. He does have 45 caps for the Russian national team with 14 goal contributions there. And like I said, he's won a Europa League title. He's a Russian Premier League title winner, 3 Russian Cups and a Russian Super Cup as well. And obviously he's going to be a designated player. And he comes in as one of the more expensive, I think, transfer fees coming into the league history. I'm not exactly sure what the number is. I think Tom Bogert put it out there, but I forgot to write it down. So Miranchuk, Jason, I mean, I don't watch a ton of Serie A. I have a friend who loves the Serie A, and I try to get some information from him. You know, he's also maybe not the biggest MLS fan, so he told me he's going to dominate Major League Soccer. I doubt it, but what do you think of the Miranchuk signing?
I mean, I think just purely based, I agree. I'm also, I'm not just sitting down watching Serie A like all the time, but
I'll watch Inter versus Milan. That's cool.
Yeah, the big ones. I'll go watch Pulisic play, but I just think the stats are sort of jumping off the page like at a glance. It's just the guy's contributing to a goal in a little over 30% of his games in a huge sample size. And he's in, the prime of his career at 28. So I feel like this has the potential to be a really good move. I also think it's interesting that Atlanta didn't go for like a young South American just with their history. So I feel like that they're definitely making this move out of like trust that it is the move for them and not just like grasping at a straw.
It seems more like a Josef Martinez-esque signing. Obviously, Josef came over from this area as well, but it seems like a move where it's like, yes, he's in his prime, proven player who we are going. Like he is the Giamakis type, right?
It's another move that's just like it doesn't feel like a super high risk move. It feels like at the worst, you're still gonna get like a solid performance week in and week out with him.
Exactly.
Is he going to be an MVP caliber player? I mean, we'll have to wait and see. It looks like on paper he has a lot of potential to do well in MLS, but
yeah,
you never know. Like the difference in this league versus when you're traveling by bus for an hour is massive. So
for sure. And look, 12 assists in this area is nothing to like scoff at, right? Like that is. The Serie A, the very defensive, very physically tough league. So I think he'll transition well. Obviously, how much time is he going to need to fully transition? We'll see. And, I think he can be a very nice piece. Now, I still think Atlanta needs to go out and sign that DP number 9 now, right? They need to go they need to make that move. And maybe they can do that while Miranchuk, adapts and while they try to figure out the next hire for manager, because these are all things that are going to impact how Atlanta perform and what they put out on the field. And just to get that exact number from Tom Bogert, the deal is in the region of $13 million, which is one of the most expensive in league history. So, he needs to pay off at the end of the day. That 16 goal contributions in Italy and a Europa League title needs to come to Major League Soccer and pay off. And Atlanta United will spend the money for that for sure. All right, let's move on. San Diego FC. They continue their year one build, and they've signed center back Paddy McNair as a free agent ahead of their 2025 debut. Keep this really short. He's a 29-year-old Northern Irish international. He has 68 caps for Northern Ireland, and I'm pretty sure is their captain or was a captain at one point for Northern Ireland. He has 270 plus games played in his career between Middlesbrough, Sunderland, and Manchester United. He was on loan with West Brom. He will go on loan to West Brom in the EFL Championship until January of 2025. But he played well with Middlesbrough in the Championship last year, and hopefully he can be that veteran center back signing that every club I feel like should kind of have year one. Talking about center backs, Inter Miami have signed their 7,000th center back of the season and signed center back David Martinez on a 1-year loan from River Plate. 26-year-old Paraguay international has over 100 games played in his career between River Plate and Defense y Justicia, with a total of kind of 9 goal contributions in his career. This season with River Plate, he's only played in 5 games in all competitions. Obviously, it's early on in their season, but he does have 11 caps for the Paraguay national team and has won 6 trophies with River Plate, including, being a 2-time Argentine First Division champion. Jason, is it just Miami's trying to do anything they can to keep a healthy center back on the field at this point? That's what it feels like to me.
That feels like everywhere on the field in Miami, honestly. Just one goes down, they just spend more money. So, yeah, I mean, a 1-year loan, it's definitely like a reinforcement type move there.
Yeah, I mean, look, Fiere, he has a very difficult last name, and I'm definitely not pronouncing it correctly. But he's gone for the season. I think it's been a mix, and I mean, we've already seen Martinez play in Leagues Cup, and he's looked pretty good. So hopefully he can be that for Miami. Sporting Kansas City, they've transferred winger Marinos Tzonis to Serbian club FC Kukariki. I don't really have much to say here. It opens up a U22 initiative spot for SKC. He didn't really get opportunities. He didn't earn opportunities. However you want to say it, he didn't really do much during his time. Minnesota United, though, they have signed a winger, Kelvin Yeboah, to a DP deal. The 24-year-old Ghanaian international winger. It's an interesting combination. You don't see too many Ghanaian Italians. Maybe you do. I don't know. I could be wrong about that. But he comes over from Genoa in this area to Minnesota. He has 181 career games between Genoa, Augsburg, Montpellier, Standard Liège, Sturm Graz, and another club in Austria, where he has scored 43 goals and has 26 assists. He does have an Austrian second division title under his belt as his only trophy of his career. I mean, I'm going to kind of stay in a similar sense here as from, the Atlanta's new DP signing to what I compared him to Josef Martinez. He's a little bit younger at 24 years old, but he is a guy who has played and been successful at Genoa. He's played and been successful, I think, maybe not really Augsburg, but like Montpellier and in Austria. And if Eric Ramsey wants to make this his first big splash DP signing in the post, I can't even remember his name at this point right now. The attacking midfielder that went to Tijuana, it's fine, whatever. In the new era of Eric Ramsey, then Kelvin Yeboah seems like a guy who could be a strong DP move. We'll have to wait and see. He's a little bit younger. Maybe he'll take more to adapt, but he seems like a very talented player.
Yeah, I mean, I think with where Minnesota has been so far this season, and even like the emergence of Tani Uluwasai.
There you go.
Yeah, I like constantly am working on trying to say that name.
You're sitting in work meetings.
I love him as a player, so like I have to know how to say it. But I just feel like this attack just got bolstered again. Obviously, I think Tumu Puki is on a DP deal.
Yeah, it's Puki, Robin Ludd, and Kelvin Yeboah, the 3 DPs on their roster.
Yeah, so who knows how long is Puki gonna keep it at?
I don't know. That's if Puki lasts too much longer. Because the
Tani is firing. Okay, so I think basically building up that attack is going to be a great thing for them. And I think if Yeboah can fit in nicely and kind of get into the league and get going quickly, then I don't know. That's another scary team that just got a little bit better, which feels like when are some of these teams going to get worse? I guess there are a couple that did get worse.
Yes, there are. I mean, look, I think I'll just keep it short and simple with this thought and this point of if Eric Ramsey can get a attacking 3 or attacking 4, if you want to include Robin Ludd in there, of Kelvin Yeboah, Bongi Halongwain, Tani Olawasi, and Robin Ludd, like those are 4 guys who I feel like at all different points have been so strong, scoring in bunches, whatever. But like I want to see it all just kind of click together, because if it does, I think that's a scary attacking 4 in Major League Soccer, and is a very formidable attacking 4 as well. But I'll roll through these next few moves as well, Jason. Minnesota United, they've also signed center back Jefferson Diaz from Deportivo Cali in Colombia. He's a 23-year-old Colombian defender. Nashville SC, they've acquired winger Jonathan Perez on loan from the LA Galaxy for the rest of the 2024 season. Hasn't really played a ton with the Galaxy this year, mostly with Ventura County FC and MLS Next Pro. The Philadelphia Union, they've transferred central midfielder Richard Odata to Scottish Premier League club Dundee United. He's never featured for the Union's first team after coming over, but he does have 8 appearances for the Union 2 and MLS Next Pro. The last signing that I feel like we got to give some love to and talk about here, LAFC signing central midfielder Lewis O'Brien on loan from Nottingham Forest for the rest of the 2024 MLS season. If that name sounds familiar and you don't know why, Lewis O'Brien was on loan with DC United for I think 20 games last season, but the 25-year-old English midfielder had 1 assist in 25 games on loan from Nottingham Forest to Middlesbrough in the EFL Championship. He has 238 career games played between Huddersfield, Nottingham Forest, Middlesbrough, DC United, like I mentioned, and Bradford City, with 14 goals and 15 assists. LAFC, we talked about this with Real Salt Lake. This is a move that just makes LAFC
the rich get richer,
better, everything like that. And what I want to say is Lewis O'Brien, he was on a very not great DC United team, but he was a very talented, he was doing a lot of things for DC. I remember his short loan spell with the club, and if he can add that to a midfield that has a Matthias Bogusz, a Timothy Tillman, and Edward Atuesta, and Ilie, LAFC again elevates so much.
It's like going from, I don't know, man. Like this team, you have people in front of you like Bouanga, Oliveira, Giroud, Kai Kamara, I'll throw in there. Like this team is stacked already.
Griezmann.
Griezmann potentially. Okay, don't speak that into existence. Okay, we want him somewhere else. But yeah, I think he has all the tools here to succeed. At 25 years old, if he can come in and give them that spark or continue to help them succeed as they have been, they're going to get, everything they need out of him. If I think this is going to be a very obvious sign of, how good he is too, because this is no offense to DC fans. This is not going into DC. This is going into the top of MLS with arguably some of the best midfielders and attackers in the entire league.
Yeah, no, exactly. I'll leave it at that. We are done with the transfer talk. I mean,
I'm tired of it, man.
I will not continue more with that. Hopefully we see these guys on the field contributing soon enough.
I will say, have your team or my team made a single move?
No, we haven't. No, hasn't happened yet. Maybe one day. At
least you guys are in a playoff spot, okay? So there is no excuse to that we're content being 14th in the conference.
We just drew to the worst team in Mexico, okay? So it is what it is at this point. Let's talk about some.
You won though on PKs, right?
Got 2 points. The soccer doesn't have 2 points.
Yeah, I was looking at that. I was like, "This is what we're doing." Oh,
yeah, we're just making up. Just go back to goalie wars. Just stop it. Let's give a U.S. soccer update. The U.S. women's national team at the Olympics right now. I can confirm. Well, not live, but as of recording, the U.S. have. I mean, we're so close to saying they've won. They
got a little hairy here in the last 7 minutes of extra added time or whatever.
It's so close. I'm gonna just confidently sit here and say they won.
Just because Miatas are about to go do a long throw in for Australia.
We're gonna go with the pretense that they won 2-1.
You could have just started with the U23s.
No. We don't do that. Ladies first. Okay, ladies first. Fuck it. Yeah, you know what? I'll just go with the men's side until we get a confirmed score here. U.S. men's, the U23s. They finished the group stage of the Olympics with 2 wins and a loss, finishing second in the group behind France. Moving on out of the group into the knockout stage. That includes a 3-0 loss to France, where Alexandre Lacazette tried to murder our children out here. 4-1 win over New Zealand with goals from Georgi Mihailovic, Walker Zimmerman, Gianluca Busio, and Paxton Aronson. And then a 3-0 win over Guinea with a brace from Kevin Paredes and another goal from Georgi Mihailovic, who has been on fire. Our U23s will take on Morocco's U23s, who won Group B over Argentina. Jason, we don't have to dive super deep into it, but any overarching thoughts about the 3 games we've seen from the
I
US?
mean, I'm having a ton of fun watching these guys. And Georgie is just props to him, man. They picked him up. People, us included, were like, well, couldn't they have just brought Diego Luna? And he's justified it. I mean, he's been killing it. The team itself is exciting to watch. Busio got hurt, I believe, which is a shame. I think he got replaced on the roster, I want to say. But, Paredes has been awesome. Griffin Yao's been good. I feel like it's just been fun to watch. I've just been enjoying it. Paxton Aronson has been fun. It has, I don't know if it's just me, but, I feel like I'm just a little more relaxed watching it. It's just kind of I'm just there to enjoy it. It has been enjoyable, and I think this is the first time since 2000, I want to say, that they've made the knockout round, which is not going to be an easy game, but it's another game where I'm like, who knows? It's U23. Anything can happen in these games.
No, I mean, look, obviously, I would love to see this team medal, right? I would love to see this team finish top 3, medal, grab something, and make a statement as this group, right? We've seen a lot of talent. Obviously, yes, it's like Georgi Mihailovic is balling out against U23 teams. And he played well against France's U23 team as well, which their U23 team is like a solid club team in most of the world. But it's
their team is insane. Okay, France's team is by far the best U23 team at the tournament.
100%. I don't know. I'm excited. It's nice to watch. I hope they continue to do well. I think you're starting to see performances from a Kevin Paredes, like you mentioned. To me, even a Tanner Tessman, who I think is not by far, but I think you can make an argument he's been the best looking U.S. player men's wise at this tournament. And I think you're seeing guys who can potentially push into that next step, push into the U.S. senior team and probably next steps for their club as well. So it's been fun. Obviously, the 3-0 loss to France sucks, and that second half sucked. But that first half we saw against them was, I think the U.S. put up a pretty good performance. But
also, I will say props to Walker Zimmerman, because he's just looks like he's fitting into this older leader role perfectly with this group, and it is awesome to see. And even Miles Robinson, all of the overage players that they brought, I think have justified their reasons for bringing them and have really kind of bought into their role on the team, which is kind of to lead by example. And I don't know, all these guys are kids, and then you got Walker Zimmerman, who's played 1,000 games.
I mean, literally, you have Walker Zimmerman, who's a 3-time MLS Defender of the Year, and I mean but that's the reason why you bring that overage player, right? To be a guy who can kind of be a calming force, someone who can teach, someone who can say.
Well, I think everyone saw the Walker Zimmerman one, was that makes sense, that's a great one, and it has been a really good move. So I just want to say, good for him for fully buying into what his role is.
I agree. So shout out to Walker on that one. And I can now confidently officially confirm the U.S. women's national team is 3-0-0 through the group stage. They did win the group. They defeated Australia 2-1, along with 2 other games of a 3-0 win over Zambia and a very dominant 4-1 win over Germany. We saw a ton of goals this entire group stage from Mallory Swanson, Trinity Rodman, and I'm pretty sure Lynn Williams had one. And it was a fantastic group stage from the U.S. women's national team. I do not trust myself enough to give a good enough of a description of this, Jason. So I'm gonna turn it over to you to say just how great this group stage was.
Yeah, I don't need to like break it down like crazy, but I will say that this felt like a return to a more confident U.S. women's national team, a more connected team. I think like just watching them, especially against Germany, where they just dominated, was really like one of those performances you would expect in the past. And I think towards the end of the Vlatko era was kind of like, where is the creativity coming from?
Yeah.
But they're and again with this Australia game too that just wrapped up, like you're seeing them find ways to score against different types of defenses. You know, Australia kind of digs in a little bit and they were able to break it down. And it takes time and it's not easy. But like the whole tournament itself has just kind of rebuilt the confidence, I feel like, for a lot of people with the team. I think Emma Hayes has definitely got the players really bought in, especially that front three. I think they mentioned today, and then Corbin Albert scored as well. But I think they mentioned 14 out of now it's like 17 goals since Emma Hayes has taken over has been from Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, or Mallory Swanson, which you might say is like maybe too direct, but if it's working, like don't try and fix it, right?
I mean, arguably, they are the most dominant three strikers. Well, sorry, not strikers. I'm a three attackers that we have. So, I mean,
well, and I think we're seeing the attack. You know, I feel like we got into a point where it's like, why are we not using the talent where we can use it, right? Why are we not giving it to Trinity Rodman to just sprint at defenders, right? With that incredible speed, just in her change of direction ability is crazy. And I think we're starting to see more ways. Like we're not just going down the sidelines and crossing it every time. We're not just kind of getting a corner and hoping for the best. Like there's more ways to attack. It just so happens that it's the front three putting away most of the goals. But like there's no, you know, that's not a problem. That's almost like you have so much talent up there. It's like they're getting the best out of those players, which is, you know, I don't remember how many goals they scored in the World Cup, but it did feel kind of stale and didn't feel perfect up top. And now it's starting to get back to that like three-headed snake, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like it's like all connected.
I feel like Emma Hayes is bringing, and I mean, I'm not trying to repeat what you said because I think this is what you said as well. It's just a different kind of tactical nuance to the talent that just better fits the talent that we have. And is you know, she made a bold move of not calling up Alex Morgan, but look, it's paying off, and it's putting the trust and faith into her girls and into the people that she thinks can do what her system and what she's trying to accomplish. And it's working and it's happening. And the U.S. women's national team is absolutely killing it. And I mean, you know, it's not that it's that much of a surprise. We still are one of the best teams, women's teams, if not the best women's team in the world. And you know, a lot of that is just I think the development of women's soccer in this country and what we've done and what we've had for a long time and just continuing with that. So I just have to give I think a lot of the love should obviously go to the players, yes, but Emma Hayes has been doing I think a fantastic job.
And you see a lot of like nuance in how they're playing based on the opponent too, where I think in the past you just saw kind of like, oh, it's, you know, they're going to play this way, they're going to do that, you know, but even in this tournament, you've had three pretty different types of opponents and very different, not necessarily results because they're all wins, but very different attacking mindsets. It feels like with very similar results. So like it just feels like there's more. And I think Sophia Smith was interviewed and said something like, you know, Emma Hayes, like everything she says, you know, has really helped elevate all of their games, especially hers. And that's what you want to hear, you know, out of a new coach, especially this early. The fact that and they have a very tough test coming up against Japan. So we'll see, you know, we'll probably talk about that one next week. I don't actually know when that game is. Probably in a couple of days.
I mean, literally the U.S. women's game just ended, so I guess we'll figure out the schedule. And yes, we'll catch up on whatever games happen and whatever results happen. But just a shout out to both of our U.S. soccer teams over there.
It's been a fun soccer in the Olympics. I will say it's been very fun to watch. So if you can catch any of the remainder of these knockout round games, hopefully some extras, do it because they've been great to watch.
All right, let's roll into Leagues Cup and what's been going on around MLS. So the MLS All-Stars, obviously, this is not anything that overly matters, and we talked a little bit about All-Star Week last episode, but the MLS All-Stars did fall to the Liga MX All-Stars 4-1. Goals were scored by Cucho Hernandez, Jermaine Bertarami, Usama Idrisi, Juan Brunetta, and Maximiliano Meza. Obviously, guys like Idrisi and Meza are fantastic talents. So is Cucho, and it was definitely, I think, just a fun week. Liga MX. They also won the 2024 Skills Challenge by winning the shooting challenge, the cross and volley. That was a ton of fun too. It's nothing ever to overly talk about. It's just it's a fun time, and I think
somehow that skills competition always comes down to the final thing. Like
it just comes down to who can hit the crossbar from the
from half.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's just fun. It looked like a ton of fun, and it looked like a lot of players were able to just enjoy a few days off of the grind of a soccer season. The other, I guess, kind of news announcement is, and I said it slightly before, but the Crew will host Club America on September 25th for the 6th edition of Campeones Cup. Crew are one of the winners of the previous 5 Campeones Cups. They won it back in 2021 over Cruz Azul. Let's dive into Leagues Cup, Jason. We're not going to go through each match day and stuff like that, but there have been so far through what? It's been 4 matches.
You put it like that, and I was looking through it so confused because technically the match days has been like 3 days.
Whatever. You fucking days on the calendar were 20 minutes at once. I don't give a shit.
Match day 1 has been it's the first match day for each team.
Yes. It is such a weird, awkward way of wording it. So we're technically onto match day 2.
We're halfway through or so.
Because there's also 15 teams that haven't played a fucking game yet, but there's already a team eliminated.
Oh, that's a really good point, which is so confusing. Yeah, also, it's so confusing that the Red Bulls are eliminated at the top of their group.
Yeah, because they're the only team to play 2 games. Yeah. Look, there have been a lot of Leagues Cup games played so far. Some groups are down to their final game in the upcoming days, and obviously between today, tomorrow, you're gonna hear this Thursday, so between Wednesday and today, there's gonna be all the teams pretty much getting into that final kind of group stage game scenario. But as of right now, it is Wednesday at 3:00. So I'm just letting everyone know where we are as far as Leagues Cup scheduling, because these games are firing off. It feels like a lot of old school MLS from when I did the pod back in like 20.
Dude, we love this, where it's just game after game after game. It's the one thing I get people that don't want to support or love this tournament, but the fact that I can watch soccer on a Tuesday, a Wednesday, and a Thursday
at 9 o'clock at night, give it to me. I can watch soccer until 1 a.m. Give it to me. That's it. Yes. So I'm gonna kind of just go through these match days a little bit, Jason, and we can kind of just talk about some cool shit that's happened. Yeah. Anything, I guess, as far as this first match day that stands out to you? I'll start with you. Anything as far as how I have listed match day 1 that stands out to you?
Oh, crap. Okay. That's how you're going to do it.
I can go. It's fine. I can go into something if you need.
Match day 1.
And we can also lump it together, right? There's a lot of shit.
Yeah, I kind of just want to talk about Austin as a team, not just match day 1. Obviously, they played Tuesday night in 1 against Monterrey, and then they beat Pumas in match day 1 with a red card for about half the game, a little bit over actually. I think it was
to a DP player,
But they have been incredible, and I think we've talked about it a little bit. But those are 2 of the games that I've really kind of been up for because a lot of these games I can watch Seattle versus Minnesota. I don't
Yeah.
need to go out of my way. Austin versus Pumas and Austin versus Monterrey have been, big ones that I kind of circled. So seeing the fact that I guess they officially won the group, right? Because they've
Yeah.
played you.
Yeah.
And they won both of their games and had some very nice goals and pretty awesome moments. Has just been crazy to watch. And that first game at least was pretty chippy. But
The first game was wild, just in the sense of, right, like, I feel like you're seeing it a lot, like, at least with the first games of each group, that like MLS teams are like kind of throwing out almost the B squad. Like, you're seeing a lot of like young guys, you're seeing a lot of depth pieces, you're seeing a lot of backup keepers. And I mean, especially in the first game against Pumas, you saw the Stephen Cleveland PK save and Brad Suver fucking going nuts on the bench. Like that is something that I do have to say I love from this competition, is you get to see, obviously, chances for guys who may not always get to see the field as much, like a Stephen Cleveland, right? Like, get an opportunity to play. He makes a big moment, and the starting keeper for Austin, Brad Stuver, gets to celebrate and go nuts because he's pumped for his dude who's doing it against a Mexican opponent. And I mean, you have that. You have the Owen Wolf run pass to why can't I think? My brain is not flowing well.
Mine stopped a long time ago.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not here at all. But whatever. You got the Owen Wolf assist on the second goal. John Gallagher.
Pereira.
Yes, Danny Pereira. Thank you. Gallagher has been pushed into almost like a winger role because of the new Austin fullback pieces, and Gallagher has been killing it back on the wing. Like, Austin has been so much fun to watch. So I'll give you.
How much do you put into the fact that like all these games are at home for MLS teams?
I don't love it.
I feel like it takes away. Like, obviously, in CCC. I still can't get used to saying that.
Champions Cup. That's how I say it.
Obviously, in the Champions Cup, like, it's the away legs that are the ones that we really worry about typically and always. And there are no like away legs in this. And I kind of feel like it takes away from like the success that MLS is so far having. And I don't mean to like be,
it's fair. It's
super
100%.
negative, but it's like, oh yeah, all the, what did we say? The MLS teams have, after last night, have only lost like twice.
After last night, yes. After last night, if you're not counting, I mean, they haven't even lost PK shootouts.
Versus Liga MX, obviously.
Versus Liga MX only. There's only 2 losses that MLS clubs have had so far. So, I mean, it's interesting. So I think the home field advantage is a thing. I think if these games were played between some in Mexico and some in the U.S., we'd probably see much different results for sure. And I'm sure Mexican fans and clubs and players all probably feel the same way.
Yeah. And I feel that way. I kind of want to see this tournament where it's a little bit more split, but that's just me. I also love seeing MLS do very well. So
yeah, I mean, that too, right? I was about to say, or every other year you just swap who hosts it. Next year, Mexico hosts it, right?
That would be cool.
Like, fine, I understand maybe traveling back and forth between the U.S. and Mexico, like on a almost like every other night to every third night or whatever basis, like that might get tough or tiring. I can understand that. So maybe, like I said, Mexico hosts it next year and then you kind of swap it back and forth. I think that would be an interesting wrinkle and definitely something that, if you're going to do
or just like each Mexican team gets one home game. I don't know the logistics of how that would work.
Yeah.
But it feels like something like that could work, that one home game, it doesn't necessarily have to be an MLS team that has to go, but
yeah,
I just feel like it would make it at least slightly more interesting rather than seeing, every game at home, which is exciting. And like we're getting to talk about a very successful start to this tournament for MLS, but it's sort of blemished by the fact that they haven't had to travel at all and they have all of their fans in their locker rooms and whatever.
No, I mean, look, I fully agree with you on that piece, right? Like, San Luis is going to have to Like they just played up in Montreal yesterday. Now they have to travel down to Orlando and go do that, right? Like that's a lot of travel. That sucks.
In 4 days or whatever.
Exactly. Well, the one thing that I'll pick out really quickly is like clubs like Vancouver and Minnesota, right? Like those are two clubs that lost their first group stage game against an MLS side. They both picked up big wins over Liga MX sides to keep their hopes alive and now need other MLS teams' help to kind of keep them into the knockout stage, right? Like Orlando, if they beat San Luis, Montreal is going to advance. If Seattle can beat Necaxa, then Minnesota is going to advance. And, Necaxa and San Luis, not that they're powerhouses of Mexico, but, they're now in a piece where it's like, okay, we need to pick up 3 points. We need to win if we want to, keep going in this competition. So not that that's stuff going on currently right now, but it is just, to me, you see strong performances from Minnesota, from Vancouver to not just roll over in the second group stage game against the Mexican club and just give up in the competition. They went out, they handled business, and now, yes, they have to kind of see what happens with points and goal differential, but they put in strong performances. And Minnesota with back-to-back red cards and 10-men performances, I mean, that's just wild Minnesota stuff. But, it's something that I'm going to be looking forward to as we head into the next few days of like, what does Orlando versus San Luis look like? What does Seattle versus Necaxa look like? And, how does it impact the team, the other team not playing or the other team already quote unquote done, So that's what I'm looking at. Anything else that stands out to you right now? I can say it and I can just say Red Bull's first team eliminated from Leagues Cup.
Oh, yeah, do that one.
Feels pretty good. It just feels.
And I feel like we touched on enough.
Look, it was Red Bulls. I mean, they were in a case where after losing the first game, they needed to pull out a win. They either needed to win the PK shootout or win outright against current Champions Cup winners Pachuca. And they put in a very strong performance. I will say, I think Red Bulls actually were the better team across 90 minutes, but Red Bulls pull the Red Bulls. They can't win a PK shootout. They can't win in a cup competition. They lose the PK shootout and they get eliminated. They're the first team gone, which then ultimately sent Toronto FC to end Pachuca to be the first teams to move on to the knockout stage, along with Austin FC, who we already mentioned. Yeah. So it's just with only 3 teams in a group, a lot of these results, even if you're not playing, matter, and it's very, very fast moving, I would say already. Anything else?
I mean, we could do some games to watch.
Yeah, you hit me with your Leagues Cup game to watch.
I have a couple. I think if we're talking match day 2, I think I'm pretty interested in the Portland versus Colorado. Portland obviously beat Lyon, which was, I would say, kind of surprising to me. But a good win for them to start off. And now Colorado hasn't played. So this game, what is that? That would be Thursday night, will be Portland versus Colorado. And I think Portland has a chance to cement their spot, I guess, in the knockout round. And Colorado will then have to play Lyon in the final day, which might end up being probably actually will be a really good game regardless. It's going to matter quite a bit. And then for match day 3, I know we're mainly MLS podcast, but I think Monterrey Pumas has the potential to be incredible. Okay, winner take all, basically. Winner moves on. That's going to be
winner moves on, loser goes home. That's it. That was a big one to watch for sure. Honestly, when I first saw that before the Austin result last night, I was like, that's going to be boring, but not, because Austin's going to be watching to see if they make it through or whatnot. And now it's just turned into okay, one of the giants and one of the mid-tier teams in Mexico. Let's see who's got it.
We're also going to get a really interesting situation in the LA Galaxy San Jose group, because San Jose beating Chivas makes the rest of this group, even the game LA Galaxy versus San Jose, whatever that result is, either San Jose is moving on or it's going to – I think it's probably going to come down to LA Galaxy versus Chivas.
I mean, you think San Jose gets a result against Galaxy?
No, but even if they don't.
So this is Galaxy
right?
win.
They'll be on 3 points.
Galaxy
will be on 3 points.
Galaxy would be on 3 if Galaxy wins. San Jose's on 2, and Chivas is on 1.
Oh, they're only because they won in the.
Yeah, bro, come on, we're making up.
Well, in that scenario, it's a little different, but I still think the Galaxy are probably. Let's say they win tonight outright, they're going to be in a position to either let San Jose continue or not.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun.
It's how I feel about the Red Bulls, right? Like
I'm kind of a fan of 3-team groups. This is quite enjoyable.
It's enjoyable, but it's fucking chaos at the same time.
It's really hard to follow, but it's really fun because every game matters an incredible amount.
Yes, for sure. And Jason, I mean, look, you have to see your team tomorrow night take on Toluca after an SKC loss. So we'll see how the Chicago Fire, who you guys rested a lot of players, I'll say, which was, again, what I was saying before, a lot of MLS teams almost throwing out like
I don't know what they're resting for.
you don't
what else are they doing, you know?
You haven't deserved a rest this season.
Yeah, I think they need to play. I think we need to see we're not good enough. We need more minutes together.
Yes, I agree. I think it'll be interesting to see if, you know, the Fire go for a full starting lineup against Toluca to see if they can maybe try to advance on in the competition.
It was like a half B, half A team.
I mean, that's how MLS. To me, when it's mixed like that, that's what I call an MLS B team because we're not deep enough to go full.
Yeah, we're not good. Yeah, that's
full B team.
Yeah.
You know, NYCFC. I'll just give my club a little love, and obviously a PK shootout win. It is a pretty nice result. We have to see what goes down between Querétaro and FC Cincinnati, and you know, going down into a final match day game against Cincinnati is not fun, especially if Querétaro can.
They're going to need a result. Like,
yeah, right?
Probably.
I'm hoping Cincinnati just win and we move on no matter what at that point.
That's a good point. No matter what, if Cincinnati wins tonight, you move on. Yeah.
I'm just rooting for Cincinnati, boys. Let's go. Let's go, my Ohio guys. But that's
that means that the final game is just not going to be that fun for you.
Well, bro,
it'll be really calm.
It's like the what game is it? The Toronto FC. Why can't I find it? The Toronto FC Pachuca game. That game doesn't mean a fucking thing outside of who's the winner of the group and who's not, which I guess that matters.
Pachuca beat Red Bulls.
Yeah, Red Bulls gone. Toronto and Pachuca already through, you know? Like, yes.
They both won on PK shootouts. Dang, Rebels got to get their PK shootouts down, man.
And they lost to Cincinnati in PK shootouts and in the playoffs last year.
I think it'll matter because it'll, I don't know how the knockaround gets, I'm just not that far in, but I feel like you're going to want to win that group. You probably have an easier opponent.
You want, it's like anything else, right? Yes, it matters because you want to win the group because you'll face the team that finished second in another group and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying if I'm Toronto, if I'm John Herdman or if I'm the manager of Pachuca right now, I'm throwing out a B team and I'm like, we'll see. If we get a result, great. If not, we'll face someone. You know, it is what it is. I guess we're an hour and 7 in. I can give a little thank you, speech about 300 episodes at this point. No one's listening at this point, so it's fine.
If you are, though, we love you.
If you are, then yes, you appreciate 300 episodes worth of Jason and I rambling on a podcast here. But it is weird that I'm almost a decade into starting MLS Aces, and I think, what is it? 7 almost, or this is my 7th year of doing the podcast of it. There's obviously been a lot of great names and co-hosts that I've had, from you, Jason, to Sam, to Vaughn, to Riley, and a lot of amazing guests and big names that I've never thought I'd be able to have conversations with. Yeah, friends of the pod, right? And just to have it be, I think there's obviously over 300 episodes because we've had specials and we've had different things in there. But to officially have the 300th episode of the full podcast out is awesome. It's amazing. And if you guys have listened to an episode or watched just a singular episode, if you've watched a few minutes or listened to a few minutes of an episode, I greatly appreciate it. It's been something that's been fun and now a huge part of my life from college to I'm almost 30 years old, which is disgusting to think about. But it's been awesome. Next 100 episodes, I'll definitely write out some more official words because this is all off the top of the head right now. But Jason, it has been a pleasure to do. It hasn't been a full 300 episodes.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm probably at like 250.
200 plus episodes with you. And to have it go from just the podcast to just audio to video and now YouTube and everything else that we're doing. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone who's listened and watched over the years. I don't know if you want to say anything, Jason, but go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just try,
You don't have to. You really don't have to. It's okay.
Honestly, like this has started as like just such a fun thing to do, and like obviously I wasn't there at the beginning, but just joined out of like loving soccer, I guess, in the U.S. and it's just kind of grown and been a lot of fun. So I mean, obviously that's all to the listeners and you, Tom, for the effort, but yeah. I like it, man. It's just we just chat,
300 episodes. I like it. Okay. That is the perfect way.
We have fun here.
Yes, we have fun. We don't. I don't think we try to take soccer too seriously, even though
sometimes it gets serious.
And sometimes
it doesn't.
It's okay. It's okay. Well, enjoy Leagues Cup. Enjoy this episode, and hopefully another 300 plus to come. And yeah, we will catch you guys next week. Thank you.